Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of An Easy Dish. Today, we're going to make pumpkin bread, and we're going to talk about how to wrap these little guys up easily into gifts that you can give away to your family and friends over the holidays. So let's get right to it. Microwave safe plate. And I'm going to spray this with some cooking spray, sugar, flour, eggs, butter, and almond extract. Gift from my dear sweet friend Kira. She knows me. She knows me well. Let's move on to the pumpkin bread cake. Let me show it to you. In the family, it's made the family cookbook. Pumpkin bread. Right next to Granny's fried dough. It's got a lot of ingredients, but really basic stuff. And like I said, if you watched the other intro, like I said, it makes a lot because it's meant for sharing, meant to make several loaves so you can give them away as gifts. And it is a cake. It's called pumpkin bread. It's nothing bread-y about it. It's cake. And as I also mentioned, I'm not a big pumpkin fan, but I do love this. And yeah, so we're going to put all the dry ingredients together first, as is often the case with cakes and so on. I hate sifting things. It takes time. This thing is hard to clean. But sometimes I find it necessary. I feel like I have to do it. I'm going to go ahead and do it. Sifting. It's not a make or break deal, you know what I mean? As we all already know, if you've watched my videos before, there is a way to measure flour that makes a big difference in all of your baking, particularly cookies and things. So if you've ever had things that come out dry, it could be because you've measured your flour incorrectly, and there's too much flour in there. That could cause dry baked goods. So this recipe is currently calling for 3 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour, using the method that I am showing you here. Okay, so 3 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. Next, into our dry ingredients, we put in the baking soda, the baking powder, the salt, the nutmeg, the cloves, and the cinnamon. All get added to here. So this is going to be 1 teaspoon of all of the things I just mentioned, except for the salt, which is 1 1/2 teaspoons. So I'll get that one out of the way. Salt, this is a 1/2 teaspoon. 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. Done. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Check. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Done. Wipe this off. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. 1 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Uh-oh. Okay, we'll see if I have more of that in a minute. That was about a 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And a teaspoon of ground cloves, approximately. Okay, I'm going to sift all of that together. I'm going to see if I have more nutmeg. I'll be right back. In case it was going to keep you up at night, I did have another thing of nutmeg, so crisis averted. So I've sifted all of those ingredients together into this bowl, which I'm going to put aside. Now we're going to put the rest of the ingredients here, which is 3 cups of sugar. That's right, 3 cups of sugar. Again, this is making an awful lot. 1, you don't have to worry about how you measure your sugar because it doesn't really mess with the texture of what you're making. So 3 cups of sugar. If you don't have one of these stand mixers at home, no problem, as usual. Choose a regular mixer, like normal people, like I did for my whole life until I got this. But make sure you're using really kind of the biggest bowl you have, because this gets a little bit precarious once I add all the ingredients and the flours. Megan, let's see what she wants. Hello? Hello? Hey, what's up? Oh, hold on one second. Everything's okay. 3 cups of sugar. Something in my throat. 1 cup of vegetable oil is going in here. Alrighty. Then I'm going to add 4 eggs. And I've been starting to do this lately because, you know, once you get burned 10, 11 times, you learn your lesson. I'm going to crack my egg one at a time into here. Not that I've ever once in my entire life, I don't believe, cracked into a bad egg. Have you? Well, I haven't. Not for that reason so much as shells, because as you know, shells, like if you drop a shell in, they're hard to get out. And especially if you drop it into an already, you know, other ingredients are already in there. So I've started to just kind of do it this way. 4 eggs. So now the next bit is interesting because we're not sure if the original recipe that my mom started using was using pumpkin or pumpkin pie filling. And I think it took us a long time as a family to, somebody would be using pumpkin, somebody else would be using pumpkin pie filling. Nobody was really paying attention. Maybe we were just using them interchangeably and we weren't sure. And then we were like, how come sometimes this is a little bit more dry and other times it's like really wet? Well, there's a big difference between these two things. So what we've now learned is that this calls for 2 cups. So we use 1 cup of pumpkin, 1 cup of pumpkin pie filling, and it's the perfect balance. That only took us, I don't know, 15, 16 years, I'd say, to figure out. So again, really, we're just like, everything is just kind of being dumped. There's no real, you know, secret to any of this. 2 cups of pumpkin pie filling. And then, friends, I think, oh no, sorry, there's one more ingredient after this. And then we're going to start mixing it up. Okay, so 1 cup each of pumpkin pie filling. Those are going to a Tupperware. They won't last like forever in the fridge, but if you plan on making more of this, I will tell you that the freezer, as always, is your friend. Bake these, it makes a lot. Bake them, let them cool, stick them in the freezer. That's like, so you can make a lot and stick them in the freezer and not worry. Evaporated milk, 2/3 of a cup of evaporated milk goes in, okay? So this is our sugar, our oil, our 4 eggs, our evaporated milk, and our 2 cups of pumpkin-y stuff. And I'm gonna put this under, this is very kind of liquidy, so don't like turn your mixer on like full high speed right off the bat or it will go everywhere. So we're just gonna start really low because it's like the liquids are already like up to here. So as soon as that gets all mixed up, we're gonna start adding our flour mixture. I'm gonna go turn the oven on 325 and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the baking part. Okay, the wet ingredients are all sort of mixed together. So I'm going to start slowly, just maybe a scoop at a time, adding the flour mixture. It does kind of clump up in there. So we're gonna get a bit in there and then we'll go ahead and start wiping down the sides. Okay, so that's all been incorporated. The oven is preheating to 325. So now we're going to start the process of getting this into the pans. Now, this is where you can get really creative and just take something that's nice to share and make it into like a gift by using maybe decorative pans that go into the, these things that go into the oven. You can bake them right in here. These are from IKEA, but Michael's, Walmart, wherever, all these places. So how cute are these little guys, right? So these I'm going to use most often, because I don't have any more. This is all I have. So I'm going to use those. Most often, I just get these guys, which you can get at the dollar store, FYI. Or these guys, depending on sizes. You'll know how much I like you based on which size pumpkin bread you get. So, end of story there. So you kind of get these all set up by spraying them with your cooking spray. As I may have mentioned before, I use Vegeline because I read some articles from bakers about it, and it really does work better than just like your standard spray. Every time I use the Vegeline, I start singing Jolene by Dolly Parton. Vegeline, Vegeline, Vegeline. That one. It's one of 4 country songs that I know the words to. Anyway, now that song will be stuck in my head for the rest of today. So, first thing we do is we're going to spray these. I'm going to do that, and then I'll be back. Okay, so all I did so far was spray down all these decorative ones because I don't know how much of my batter I'm going to have left, if any, after I put them in these. And who wants to do unnecessary dishes by spraying a pan that you then don't use? And then you got to wash. Not me. So if I need to spray more, I'll do that then. I've never really made this with these little cups that are this small. They're going to be kind of like little cupcakes, which I think is cute. I'm going to use my handy dandy scooper for these guys. So I'm just going to put see how much, maybe a little more than 1 scoop in these. Okay, so I got all my little cutesy cups filled up. Now I'm going to pour batter into these guys. I normally put these kinds of things directly on the oven rack, but because these are so small, I just went ahead and put everything onto a cookie sheet, and I'm going to put it in like this. Obviously, when you're making things of different sizes, which again I often do, so I'll put in like these 2 sizes in at the same time. You just have to watch your time on your clock, you know what I'm saying, your timer. So let me go ahead and, again, I think I'm going to go about halfway up so it doesn't spill over the top. Looks like I am going to have a little bit more batter, so I can do a few more. Oftentimes this is the time-consuming part, is what I'm trying to say, of this process, because ingredients-wise, it's kind of like dump, 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 nothing too complicated. But then the waiting, the timing, because it's so much, it's several 2 to 3 rounds of stuff in the oven. But if you're home, like right now, I gotta work, so I'm gonna go work while the thing's on, what else, you know what I'm saying. So when these are all done, I'll come back and I'll show you some ways that we're gonna package them up for guests. See you shortly. Okay, everything's out of the oven. These 2 cuties came out pretty good. And then these guys just came out. And then I had put these slightly undercooked ones back in the oven. And of course I had to taste test it, and it worked. They don't look cute. I'm going to say that I don't like these. I think I already said that, from IKEA. But let's pretend that I did, and I wanted to wrap it up and give it away as a gift. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to eat them all. But maybe this little bag here. Stick this guy in. And I don't know, twist him. Got some ribbon here. And do a little twisty. You get the idea. a little twisty ribbon can be accomplished. And then you have these cute little gifts. You can put a little tag on it or whatever, curl the ribbon up, you know, as one does, ribbon curling. Dun, 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 dun. Cute, done. What I normally do though is I do these, you know, this size would go in like this size little baggie that you can get, you know, wherever, again, Walmart or whatever. And I just slide it in right inside the little disposable tin thing and then twist it up with a, you know, twisty tie. And ta-da! And again, I can get all these ready and then stick them in the freezer and then, you know, give them out whenever because they defrost well. These happen to say give thanks right in time for Thanksgiving. And then obviously I would need a larger bag for that one. But yeah, so they make really nice little gifts. Okay, that's the end of episode 1, season 2, episode 1. So hopefully I can finish up season 2. You know, it's kind of like Netflix or HBO where you get like 6 episodes and then you have to wait a year and a half before the next season comes out. That's kind of what I'm going for. It's trendy. Bye.